talked a little bit on Wednesday of the importance of this game because of the rivalry and so forth. Can you kind of, what kind of feeling have you gotten from the players now about the importance of that game?
Oh, I believe it's an important game for the players. We've been talking about it all week. When it comes to the rivalry, I've taken the stance that you shouldn't talk about a rivalry until you've been through one. And the seniors have been getting up and speaking and talking about the rivalry. The coaches that haven't been through it, including myself, needs to put their lips together and listen how important the game is. And I think that's the way you should always handle a rivalry game if you've never gone through it before. But it's a serious deal, and it's for the seniors, it'll be their last opportunity to right the wrong. So they've been extremely focused.
Has there been anything specific or unique maybe that those seniors have said that's kind of caught your attention?
Nothing that I'd share. I think the biggest thing is that to call it a rivalry game, you need to win it sometime. And if you don't win the game, then it's not a rivalry. It's just a game. And it's really important, I think, for both communities and both universities that it is a rival game, which means that we need to put all our energy into making it become that.
So if I asked you if any thought was given based on you've got guys hurt and you've already clinched the East, and in terms of things to play for, there's not much on the table for you, that thought's never crossed your mind?
We've got guys in the training room right now that are really hurt. They're doing everything they can to get back for this game. They can rest the next game. They all want to play in this one.
What's your favorite rivalry game that you've been a part of?
I'm glad you asked that. I've been in a lot of them, but I'm going to talk about two of them. One that was just so deeply rooted, and this is going to sound crazy, but unless you've been in it, is ridiculous, is the Arizona State. And the reason why I say that is because I've been on both sides of that. I've worked at Arizona State for 2 years, and I worked at Arizona for 5 years. And it's past pain. And it cuts so deeply in the state. You can't even talk about it. You can't talk about it. And then I'd say the second one, the one that most reminds me of this rivalry is because the proximity is UCLA and USC. As the crow flies, I mean, USC and UCLA is probably 12 and a half miles away from each other. You can just get in a plane and go. It's 12 and a half miles. But the universities and the campus and the schools couldn't be more different in that 12 and a half miles. And that's what kind of reminds me a little bit of the rivalry that we have, that we're so close together. Both football teams have been successful, so to speak, recently, and yet we're in different conferences, and we make sure that we get an opportunity to butt heads with each other each year. And I think that's a positive for the Bowling Green community. I think it's a positive for the Toledo community. And for us to be so close together and depend on each other for so many things. I can remember when the lake froze over and we were getting water up to Toledo and taking care of their athletes, our athletic department, because we want them to be okay. It's not one of those deals where we wish evil and bad things upon them. We want them to be okay, but when we get an opportunity to play them head to head, we want to be able to give our best efforts, and we want the bragging rights for 365 days. And I think that's fair. I think that's fair for both teams. I think it's fair for both communities.
Talk about preparing for two different quarterbacks possibly. The one kid, the converted wide receiver, who may or may not be the starter, but then Logan is a different kind of quarterback too. Talk about how you prepare for two different kind of guys.
We've been doing it recently. We've been doing it a lot. We had two for the Kent State game. We actually played against two Ohio. Western Michigan was one, and obviously he did a nice job. I think our defense is used to it. It's difficult. It splits your time. There's no doubt about it. But if we're preparing for two, hopefully they're practicing two and it all balances out. If they're practicing one, then that's not fair. So hopefully they're practicing too up there, and we're practicing against too.
Is there any aid in that your guys now, from having prepared for Akron with 2 and Kent with 2, that you kind of get used to it, or you become more comfortable with it?
We're more comfortable with it. That doesn't mean we'll have success or we will have success, but we're more comfortable with it. The staff's gone through it. They understand. The players have seen it. They understand that one set of plays is for one and another set of plays is for another, and we try to put a major emphasis on that.
How's Travis, Coach? And talk a little bit also about how important it is to get the running game. You've had some success with that recently, how important that's going to be on Wednesday night.
Travis is working really hard to get back to full speed. He was at practice today, and he was at practice yesterday. He's in the training room. He's not 100%, but the cool thing about Travis is he doesn't have to be 100% to help us, and we're trying to get him into a situation where he can protect himself and be a valuable member of our offense out there. Second part of your question, I think, is exactly right. When you look at Toledo and what they want to do, they want to run the football with those 5 offensive seniors they have there, which are a fabulous, fabulous group. Very, very good offensive line. And then their front 7 guys, they want to control the run. And the only team that really gets after them are teams that are able to run the football and teams that are able to stop the run against them. So there's no doubt that's going to be the key to the game. And hopefully our front guys, our offensive line and our defensive line, our linebackers and our backs are ready to take that challenge on, because I'm not sure you can win this game without the physicality that's going to be involved to have success when it's all said and done.
So speaking about that off the line, last few games they've been able to help out 100-yard backs no matter who's in the back, or whether it's Travis, Fox, and Andre. Just talk a little about how the line is doing lately.
They're doing really well. I think that there was really a change after the Ohio game. There was really an emphasis put on it, and it wasn't that it wasn't before, but all of a sudden we put a light on things, is what we like to say in our program. And when it came to the run game, we put a high beam on it. And he said, we want to be able to run the football. I didn't want to be a part of a football team that couldn't. I said, it's not how the game is made. You line up in spread offenses, you do a lot of things, but the bottom line is you want people to understand the physicality of the game, and you have to embrace that. If you're not going to embrace that part of it, you need to go play another sport. So I think that our offensive line has been fantastic from that point, and hopefully they'll continue to be fantastic for the rest of the season.
Obviously, you've watched a lot of tape now. Can you talk about Kareem Hunt, some of the other Toledo backs and what makes them, so effective?
Well, first of all, they're so young. They're going to be around a while, but obviously he's got a low center of gravity. He's a strong kid with really, really good speed. I'm not a big stat guy, but I think he's had 7 or 8 games in a row of 100 yards any game that he played in or started in. He finished with 100. And the guy is hard to bring down. He's tenacious the way he runs the football. So anytime you put that kind of will into a package like that, low to the ground, big thighs, big backsides, somebody that's going to drive after he hits someone and gets yards after contact, that guy's going to be effective, especially when you put it behind that type of offensive line. So you've got him, and you've got a quarterback doing the things that they do, pulling the ball, zone read, all that kind of stuff. They're going to have success running the football. We have to try to limit how much success they can do on the ground.
What was your take on how the Macon kid, or what the Macon kid brought to them sort out of the blue?
Lines up his very first time. The very first time he throws the ball, he doesn't throw a screen, he doesn't throw a hitch. He throws a post on the money down the middle for, I don't know how long it was, 80 yards or how long it was. I mean, the guy looked like starting quarterback when he threw that ball. And then I believe again, I'm not good with the numbers. I want to say he finished like 8 for 11 or some very respectable number for a quarterback that had been playing wide receiver his whole career. So I think he's really good. And I think that their offense doesn't miss much at all with him playing quarterback. I'm sure they're limited in some schemes or concepts that they're allowed to do, but with him being a wide receiver, I know in our program the wide receivers and the quarterbacks work closely together, so he should be very capable of throwing a lot more concepts than maybe he did the opening week. So I'm sure we'll have a bigger package. He'll have a bigger package of their offense if he's going to be going against us for a long period of time in our game.
Is there a, this might be a stupid question.
There is no stupid questions.
Yes, sir, don't say that yet. You lost your quarterback first week. They lost their starting quarterback second week. Now they're having some more issues, but is there a good time, is there a time, if you're gonna lose a key player like that, is there a time that's better than another? Is early better than late?
Early is always better than late. You never want it to happen, but if it's going to happen, you'd rather it happen early so that the backup, by the time he gets to this stage of the game, is no longer a backup. That's unless that you have it late and, you know, Winston or somebody and you're undefeated and then you've got 1 or 2 games left and you lose him and he's taking you to 9 or 10 wins and you just got to find a way to survive the last 2. But unless you've got a supersonic player like that, you'd much rather lose the guy early and let the other guy get the experience for when you get later in the season like this. You have a veteran player instead of someone that's just gone through it once or twice. Now, I will say this, though, when it comes to rivalry games and someone having the ability to play one game better than they've ever played it before, for some reason, those games seem to normally happen in rivalry games. So I'm going to, hopefully this is wood right here. But, you know, I've seen it happen a lot. But to answer your question, normally earlier.
Been a lot of talk this last week, Coach, about this Wednesday night, 8 o'clock game. Fans, et cetera, just got to ask your thoughts about being out in the cold at 9, 10 o'clock at night in the Midwest here playing football.
Well, I'm going to not answer your question. I'm going to spin it another way. How about that? The one thing about this rivalry that I've kept my lips pressed together and I've just listened, anytime you have a fantastic rivalry, it's really, really difficult to play it in the middle of anything. And more importantly than playing it on a Wednesday night with it being super cold, I mean, to me, it's a game that's worthy of being played last. And I don't know if it's been played first or in the middle, and I understand that we've split conferences and one's the East and one's the West, and I get all that. But I just don't understand why come we can't play the game last. So I'm not the commissioner. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get fined. I don't want a whole bunch of emails. But the really, really great rivalries to me are always played last. Let's see if we can get it moved.
Anything else, guys?
Yeah, one more. And I'm not sure how to word it, but if what percentage of your offense would you say is in? I mean, James has done a really nice, gotten better every week, progressed, led a team to a championship. But how much more offense would there be if the guy who had practiced the whole offseason I don't know if it even makes sense.
It
Is
does.
there a lot of offense in, or is there still stuff in your pocket?
There's still stuff in our pocket, but James has grown. Each week we've been able to put more and more and more on him. It's just when you run a very simple offense, it's easy to say that, hey, this quarterback's got it all and the backup's got it all. Our offense isn't like that. It's something that it evolves. It's not finite. It's something that evolves. So when you start with one thinking that's going to be the one, and then all of a sudden you have to switch, you have to make sure that you do things that to have success early that he's very capable of doing, maybe regardless of what the personnel or your personal beliefs are where you should take the thing. But the thing that I will say about James Kanapke is he has performed outstanding. And outside of the Indiana game, his best game might have been the Kent State game that he just played. And I'm really excited to see what he's going to do in this rivalry game. How well he is capable of playing, and my thoughts are I think he's capable of playing very well. Thank you all.